Hey, let's go. Back.
What's up, guys? This is the Til You Collapse Podcast. It's your boy Brian, and I'm back. Been a little bit of layoff. Honestly, I've been in a funk. Obviously, with the whole scandemic, I told you guys all my thoughts about this virus and what's going on. I'm pretty vocal on social media, and you guys know what I feel. But with everything that's going on now with the protests and stuff like that, I've really been down. I'm really all about equality, and I'm about everyone loving each other and everyone getting along. And I know that sounds like roses and Care Bears and shit like that, but honestly, that's what I'm about. I've never, if anyone knows me personally, they know who I am and how I am. And I really spread love and positivity. And I'm friends with everyone from all walks of life, and I always have been. And that's just how I've always lived my life and how I was raised. So when I see stuff, honestly, I've never experienced, so I really can't speak on it. I don't try to speak on it because I've never experienced it. But it brings me down because I know it's not right. And, it doesn't make me happy. And I don't think, anyone should be treated in a wrong way, no matter where they come from. So anyways, I know it's been a while since Scotty, hello.
What's going on?
Why are you so silent over there like a church?
I was letting you do your thing. Do your intro.
How you doing? How you been?
I'm doing good. I'm still here. I'm still living and getting through these crazy times. We're all here
working?
together.
You putting out some fire videos?
We always do.
Fire pictures. You feeling good?
That's always the goal. Yeah, feeling really good.
You looking good in that Vital Minds t-shirt.
Thank you. I love this shirt. It's a good ass shirt.
So it's been a while since I had a guest, and I brought this guest on today. This is actually this gentleman is someone I actually met at my gym job when I ran the gyms, and he was an employee of mine. And him and I real quick clicked. I can't even talk. Him and I really clicked. Honestly, he's a good ass dude. He's real. He's genuine. And that's why I think that we click so much, is because we're both so real and genuine, and we really click together. And his name is Dre, a.k.a. Mammoth. And
What's up, Dre?
What's up?
And we're going to go a little bit into our history, and then we're going to talk a little bit about current times. And we're going to also talk about ideas that we have to find a solution to what's going on as well. So we're going to cover a little bit of that in the podcast. But I want him to talk about our past and kind of how we met and get his perspective on it. And he actually, he's now an entrepreneur. He's an artist. He's kind of, evolved, and he's doing his own thing. So I'll let him talk about our past and kind of let you know what he does as well. So the floor is yours, my man.
Yeah. So what's up, everybody? I'm glad to be here. Definitely glad to be here. Yes, so I go by Mammoth. I'm an artist, local here, Sacramento. And I guess I'll start off talking about, how we know each other and everything. And I will have to say you were probably one of the coolest managers that I've had in my past. Definitely an asshole at times, but other than that, somebody I've grown to respect over the years. And a lot of it, I think the biggest contribution you've made to me, not just being my friend all this time, but it's the fact that I had a chance to watch you grow into what you are now. So because I know a lot of people that are maybe following you now gets to see the Brian now, the cars and all this other stuff. You know what I mean? And it makes it really hard to hear about the struggles of getting to where you are now when they look at this part of your life. But I remember the Acura days. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So I remember being there and seeing your very first products that you were putting out and being an artist myself.
Yeah. What did you think about them, Kevin? Because I talk shit about my own shit, right? People hear me talking about that because I keep it real. You're an artist.
I'm gonna tell you right now. When I seen that, I'm like, he can do it. Anybody can do it. Like,
right?
So, but no, I just, a lot of it was just seeing the hustle, seeing, the way you treated the people around you. And, so I could see why people were drawn to whatever you pushed, you know what I mean? So I can honestly say, in back, like you live the life and you live the brand, like Til You Collapse. That's something that you like instilled in everybody that you worked around, So no, because anytime I try to get off work on time or early, you know what I'm saying? Here you go. In my ear, like, man, you know what I'm saying? You supposed to be making this money. Like, you quitting already? You leaving? I'm like, bro, I'm off. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? How many appointments you get today? Like, that was you. So you didn't let us treat it like a 9 to 5, even though that's, what it was for the most part. So, that stuff stuck with me, but it definitely pushed me to kind of pursue my own thing. took me a little longer to get out the gate. Because I was scared. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah.
Like I've never seen.
I mean, I was scared too when I did it. I mean, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, I wanted to do it years before I did it. I was scared.
Sure.
Yeah.
So it was definitely it was took a minute. I already had a kid. I had another kid on the way. And everything. But again, you had children at the time, so I got a chance to see that. And so now fast forward to where I am now after a couple of more sales jobs. I finally got to a point, dude. I started making money. Like I was making good money.
Yeah.
But I had never been more depressed in my entire life. You know what I mean? Like, cause I was like, I'm making all this money, but I feel like I sold my soul.
Yeah.
And so I finally just up and.
Which I see that from you, because like I said, you're real.
Yeah. And
you're genuine. Yeah. And for people like us that are like that, that's how you feel, right?
Yeah. I will say this, because I don't want to spend too much time on this. But
yeah.
The funniest thing, I used to get to work an hour early every day. I was selling cars, and I loved that job. Honestly, I did. I loved being there. But I would read every day before work, and the reason I would read is to get my mind right, to get to prepare for the day. What I didn't realize was all the stuff that I was reading, instead of preparing me for the day, was pushing me closer and closer to quitting my job. Yeah. Because it was showing me, it's like, dude, the path that you should be taking, like, you know what I mean? Like, you have what it takes to actually set your own goals and, and pursue your own path. And art was always my love. And you can't pursue that, in while I'm over here selling cars all day. Yeah. So I just up and quit, fell on my face, flat on my face, and then eventually it just sparked into what you see now. So yes, for those of you out there, you can follow me at Paint in Full, Paint in Full on Instagram. If you're interested in checking out my work or asking me about services.
And tell them what you do. I mean, we've done a couple collabs with the
Yeah,
Donut
Dre
Chucks.
does some super sick stuff. I still follow you to this day.
Anyone that knows the brand, you guys know who this guy is. He's the one that did the Donut Chucks. I think we did some other stuff too, didn't we?
We were going to. I actually had an idea and I didn't do it.
Okay.
So we forgot about that.
Yeah.
But yeah. No, so I did. We had the collaboration doing the Donut Chuck Taylors. Everything was hand painted. So I do custom shoes, jackets. I've done some stuff for a few celebrities. I did Akella Witherspoon on the 49ers. I did some cleats for him. So I paint canvases. So pretty much anything that requires paint, I pretty much can do it.
And it's all hand painted by you, and that's what you're doing full time now. Yeah. How's that feel?
Man, it feels good. It feels good. I don't even know how to explain it. It's like the one thing I used to get in trouble for the most, because I didn't do any classwork assignments. I always found myself drawing in class, and I was like, it's a trip that the one thing that seemed to get in the way is the thing that I do for a living now. Yeah. So it's like, I've always had that desire, even if I didn't have people pushing me in that direction. So I honestly, it wasn't until I started getting around individuals who had that mindset, like yourself, and I've had countless other role models in my life that were strict entrepreneur mindset, where it's like they pushed me to pursue my own dreams. You know what I mean? So that's kind of where that came from. I think the only drawback was none of you guys were artists. Yeah. So it was so to figure out how to be an artist.
Yeah. An artist you knew I was an artist. Yeah. You saw the shit I was putting on shirts.
Yeah. So it's still kind of tough. Yeah. I was like, they got products. You know what I mean? I'm over here creating art. How am I gonna make money doing this? But fast forward to now, and I'm doing it. So.
And what kind of goals do you have? I mean, where do you want to take it? You want to just continue to grow it, or you want to do do you have a vision for it? Do you want to do very high end pieces, or what are you looking to do? Do you have any idea?
I do. It's my goals are always driven on how can I use my platform to inspire others. And so, when it comes to money, I always recognize that the money's gonna come when if I'm pursuing my dream. My dad said something to me that stuck with me. And he always told me, he said, don't focus on the dollar amount, focus on the purpose. He's like, because when you focus on that, however much money you make is always going to be enough. And that stuck with me, and I'm like, I don't want to get too much into it, but my relationship with God is something that's really important to me. So I always have faith that he's going to take care of me through my journey if I'm doing what he would have me to do. So I focus on how can I inspire the kids? How can I inspire the youth coming up, with my art? Because I think art is getting taken away now.
I believe. I agree.
You don't see a lot of
I see it less and less, I feel like.
It's still not something that people, try to tell the youth, people don't think you can make a career out of that.
And I just feel with technology and stuff like that, I mean, kids are growing up they're not growing up with paint and a
Yeah.
canvas. They're growing up with an iPhone or iPad in their hands.
Exactly.
So it's different, you know?
Yep.
So it's almost like a lost art.
Yeah.
It's art. It's a lost art. I feel like it is, honestly.
Yeah, no,
and
it's
you're very talented and you know, I know we want to talk about multiple things. We got some time, but like that giveaway you did, how you told me, like you gave away. Tell them about it. Like you gave.
So I have this thing because I do have merchandise also to for people to sell shirts and everything. And so what I decided to do was with every shirt sale, I wanted to put a portion of those profits to buying art supplies. Like actual quality name brand products. So I'm buying the same stuff I use to customize all my jackets and sneakers, and I want to start giving this away to kids and showing them how to use the supplies, because my idea is, instead of me just giving them a bunch of like art supplies to just to have fun and paint at home, I mean that's great, but what if I can give them something that they can ultimately turn into a business, start planting that seed of working for yourself in them early on, like kind of training them to be their own little hustlers. And so I decided to do that. And I'm not sponsored by any companies or anything like that. So what I did, I put my own money up first. And before I sold any products, I was like, I'll buy the first kit. So I went ahead and bought it, put it out there. And because some of my followers liked what I was doing, they went ahead and like, hey, can I buy a kit for you to give away? So, I had 4 kids enter the giveaway, and then bought one kit myself, and I had 3 other people put in money to go ahead and buy 3 other kits. So I was able to give every kid one. And you know what I mean? And to be honest, like, I know it wasn't, it's not like it was like hundreds of kids I was able to do this for, but even just those 4,
that's when it starts. I mean, it starts with 4, then it goes to 12, then it goes to 20. It just spreads. I mean, just the fact that you're making that effort, you're putting your money up front speaks volume. Because like we talked about, most people want to find sponsors before they even consider doing anything.
Exactly.
And you're like, no, fuck that. I'm going to put up my own time, my own money. I want to make a difference. Yeah. And I respect that, man. And like I said, next time you do it, I definitely want to be a part of it.
For sure.
I think it's important. Like we talked about, and like I said, there's no order that we can go on this podcast. I know we talked about, but we're talking about kids now. Yeah. And so you were talking to me about an idea you had dealing with youth.
Yeah. So.
And that's where it stemmed with like everything that you were talking about, right?
Yeah, because there's, like you were saying, there's so much stuff going on right now, and and it could be nerve wracking. A lot of it that's happening, even for me, it's been difficult. And I had to pull myself out of the chaos and figure out what actions can I take right now to start making a difference. And what I realized is that with all the conversations happening, people on this side, people on this side, the arguing, some people are actually trying to talk. No one is talking about the next generation coming up. And my thing is, what I realized is,
I don't want to interrupt you, but talking about the next generation, one thing we were talking about, because we were talking about how there's extremes on both sides. Yeah. And something that really made sense to me that you said, and why I think it's so important that we concentrate on the next generation from all sides, all colors, everything, is how you were talking about how, talk about how, like you were talking about how, like, it hasn't been that long, and like recently, and like, so these people have been raised, on both sides.
Yeah. There's a, me and my father are very close, and I know that the way he grew up with his dad is, he's been through some things. Yeah. And so my dad's father told him something that was like kind of profound, I guess. And he told him he told my dad, he said, there's some things that I don't want to talk to you about and how I grew up. And he said, and the reason I don't want to tell you these things is because I don't want you growing up hating white people. Yeah. And it just shows you that even through everything that's happened and the things that he went through and that were justified in him being angry, he still wanted to make sure that his kids growing up, and then even the generations after that, we didn't hold this hate in our heart for anybody, regardless of what happened. And I think because of me growing up that way, it's allowed me to try to put myself in both people's shoes instead of just picking one side. It's like, I'm like, I'm pretty sure it's not a shock that by now that I'm black. So it's like, what I'm saying? I grew up black. That was, I had no choice. So there were some things I had to face coming up that were tough, that I had to just kind of get over. But at the same time, I was blessed enough to be around so many different groups of people to where I could either talk to them one-on-one about certain issues. I've had people come to my aid that, that weren't the same color as me that came and helped. You know what I mean? I've had other people who I could tell didn't necessarily have an understanding of some of the things that I faced and went through, but still were, just like me and you. I think that was part of our conversation. It's like, listen, I don't understand everything that's going on.
Yeah.
You definitely will open to hearing it.
Yeah.
But I think the key part was the main thing is like, what can we do now? You know what I mean? What are the solutions?
And here's the thing that was amazing that your dad did and what his dad did for him. I mean, I think that's a rarity. I think a lot of people don't do that, and that's why you have the animosity on both sides. And here's the thing, like you and I think we see alike on some things and we don't see alike on some things, but we're still boys and we still love each other and we got respect for each other and we're here talking and we're, and that kind of thing. And that's just what it's going to take. And like you said, working from the youth is where it's going to be at, because and I don't know why more people aren't focusing on the youth, because that is where this continues to spread and continues to generation after generation continue on, is because of that.
I will say this, and I try to keep my opinions out of it, but this is an opinion. It's because the generation we're in, and it's sad to say, even our generation, are selfish. Everyone wants to focus on themselves. Everyone spends so much time getting offended
100%
that they're not paying attention to the ones coming up after us. Everyone's just worried about here and now and what's going on with them. You know what I mean?
It.
And that's honestly what I think the main problem is. Nobody cares to try to figure out what's why are you hurting? Why are you upset? Everyone wants to be like, well, were you upset? It's like, I'm not even mad at you. But it's like, but they want to take offense to something that honestly really doesn't have anything to do with them personally. And so we don't spend enough time listening, especially with social media. It just killed the conversation, because now you can't even disagree with someone without them all of a sudden, and everyone wants to be gangster when they get behind the keyboard. You know what I mean? And they want to start calling names, and it's like, this is stuff you wouldn't say to my face.
No, yeah.
So it's killed the conversation. There is one thing about this giveaway that was very important, and definitely when it has to do with the issues of racial inequality that we deal with today. And the reason why I'm dealing with the youth, and you had said something, dealing with all youth. My part in this, because I don't want to spend a bunch of time trying to find the divide of who's racist and who's not. You know what I mean? But what I did want to do is, by me doing this giveaway, the giveaway is not just for black kids, it's for all kids. Yeah. And the reason that's important is because I want my position to be able to inspire the kids that do look like me and can see themselves in me. But then I recognize that also by me doing this, and then I got and even these white kids growing up, I don't know how these kids are growing up. I don't know what they see on a day-to-day basis. But what will happen is when they get to a point to where maybe they'll see somebody one day that looks like me, and they'll remember, hey, you know what? I remember that guy. It was that black artist. He's the one who gave me my first art set. You know what I mean? And it creates this, I want to create an experience to where they won't have to feel like they need to pick a side. They'll look at the man instead of the way the man looks.
Hell yeah.
You know what I mean? And pay attention to that. And I think that's what we need to start doing, to start getting more and more people helping and how we can influence. The phrase, can't teach an old dog new tricks. We're old dogs now. Yeah.
So, I got that just from info, and I know about it. Trust me.
So I'm like, I don't want to spend a bunch of time arguing back and forth with a bunch of people that have, that are already set in their ways.
Yeah, that's the thing.
So, and it's not to say that, when it comes to certain issues, political issues, things like that, I'm not saying that we shouldn't, stand up for those, you know what I mean? And I'm not even going to get I was debating. I was like, do I even want to go there? And I'm not. But at the same time, I was like, it's not to say those things aren't important. Yeah. We do need to address those.
100%.
But my thing is, I'm like, we really want to affect change. Then I feel that my focus, and I think that's important. I can't change the world. I can't change every single situation. But what I can do is, what can I do to help in some sort of way? And 100%. This is the way I decided to do it.
And that's why I wanted to have you on here too, because honestly, you're so well spoken. You're really positive. And when you told me about, and we haven't even talked about it yet, hopefully we're getting into that way, but when you talked to me about your idea and what you wanted to do and how you wanted to focus on the youth, I had never heard that before. And there's so many people on social media, there's so many people out there, and I was thinking, why haven't I heard that before? Right? Yeah. I mean, it's kind of wild that I haven't heard that before. You said it to me, and I was like, and then I thought about our conversation afterwards, and I was humbled that you wanted me to be a part of it, and I'm definitely game to be a part of it. And I was like, like I said, I've been down this whole thing, this whole time I've been down. That's why I haven't done a podcast. I haven't even posted on my personal page other than stories. Like, it's just, it brings me down, you know, and I'm being attacked by certain areas and feeling ways I've never felt. And it's just affecting us all in different ways. Right. Yeah. And like you said, we need to just change the future, and we all need to have an open mind and try to see both sides and come together and have these conversations, even if we don't agree. Like, you know, you don't have to not like or hate each other, or even like us. Like, I consider you a good friend. I may not be able to see you as much as I like to, but we can see each other after not seeing each other for months, and we pick up right where we left off, like when no time went by, and we still respect and love each other. But the sad thing is, a lot of people can't do that. Yeah, you know,
I've actually had friends before that that get caught up in the social media bickering, and you know, like, so for instance, you know, when there are, and you know, and like I said, I always try to speak from facts and evidence that I've studied. Yeah. So nothing I say, if I'm gonna give my opinion, I will say it. But everything else is coming from things that I study. I don't look at social media posts and take it as like, oh, see, look. It's like, no, I read into stuff. Most of my information doesn't come from social media, actually. And one of the things is that if you look it up, there is a problem in the Black community. There is a problem. And honestly, when you look at it, it's a lot of resources, you know, whether you want to look at home ownership, or you want to look at the struggles with drugs, with violence, all this stuff. These are things that face the Black community on a daily basis. And you know, like, and without going even into too much, because I encourage people, you got to think, you don't have to learn Black history growing up. You don't have to. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, but it's like something for me, I've had to learn that because of it gave me a better understanding of my experiences growing up. Now, I will say this: I see a lot of this being handled wrong. I see a lot of extremes on both sides. You know, I see people that are out here that are protesting. I see people doing it right, but then I see people doing it completely wrong, and it's not getting us anywhere. And it's because there's no strategy. There's no, like, I don't even think they understand what they're really fighting for. And so my thing is, what's allowed me to stay on track is I look at what the issues are, and I was like, okay, so what can I do to take action? How can I get people on my side? You know what I mean? To help, because people are going to see in the media, you're going to see anger, you're going to see rage, you're going to see buildings being set on fire, you're going to see all of this, and it's going to make it real easy to like, I don't want to be a part of that. But what I would encourage is take all that away. Stop paying attention to the reaction. Stop paying attention to the ignorance you hear being spewed out of people's mouth. Because again, there's ignorance coming from both sides. Yeah. But look at the issue. Like, just ask yourself, why is this happening in the first place? And take a strong, non-biased look and just look at the facts. If you can, there's documentaries on Netflix. Just try to put yourself in the other person's shoes for a little bit, and you know what I mean, and just try to understand, because honestly, there's a lot of hurt that's happening right now, and there's a lot of frustration. Like when I've seen incidents like with George Floyd, you know, I don't get angry and look for somebody's house to burn down or somebody's business to tear up. Instead, you know what I'm saying? Like, dude, I was depressed for like 3 days. You know what I mean? I
was depressed too. Like, it was some fucked up shit.
Dude, if you have a heart, you can't. There's
I mean, I don't know how anyone could watch that and not be affected. I mean, it was. I could barely watch it, honestly. Yeah. You know what I mean? And like we talked about, and here's the thing, you know, I told you, I think for the most part, most police are good. Yeah. Most of them are good. There is bad apples everywhere. And like I told you, there has to be a change with the training of police. There has to be police officers that step up. If you're my boy, if you're my partner, I don't care if I've worked with you for 20 years. If you're doing some shit that I know in my gut is wrong, these other officers need to step up and stop it from happening. Sitting around and watching it happening, even though you may not agree with it, makes you almost just as guilty. Yeah. In my eyes, yeah. I think they need to have better training. I think if anybody has one slight showing of being racist at all, or any kind of on their record as far as a complaint, you're off. You're fucking done. Not 20 fucking complaints and you're still a police officer. Yeah. So I think they need to look moving forward, because, you know, I get it. They're angry because they're saying, oh, we're being lumped all together. with these one bad apples, but you got like your analogy with the airplane, made sense to me. I never heard that before, and I'll let you share it with them in a little bit when I'm done talking.
Oh yeah.
But you have to change because that one bad apple is representing all you. And I support cops. I think I respect them, especially nowadays. Right now, that's got to be the hardest job right now, to go out there and realize what's going on. You get underpaid. You have a family at home. I couldn't imagine. And I realize most are good. Most want to help us and most want to serve the community. But those one bad apples are a representation of all you guys.
Yeah.
So if you have that person with you in your department, you stand up against them, because you shouldn't. If you don't feel that is right, then why would you allow them to represent that? Because that's a reputation of you and your team per se, right? Mm-hmm. So that's just the way I feel. So talk about that airplane analogy.
So I got to give credit to my boy Rolex Ryan, because because if he hears this, I don't want him to be like, man, he stole my analogy.
So he told me this today at lunch, and like I said, I was talking to him how I really support police officers, and I think that, like I said, a lot of them are being put in one basket for and he told me this analogy, which really made sense to me. So I'll let him tell you.
So I want to say, first and foremost, I don't hate cops.
No, none of us do.
You
like
probably won't see me hugging any of them anytime soon, but that's what I'm saying. But I don't hate them. So my buddy told me, he's like, if you take a Southwest Airline, let's say they're doing 1,000 flights a month, but every single month one plane goes down. They have one plane crash every single month. But Southwest is not going to be able to say it's just one. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, that's one plane a month. So by the airline standards, by that industry standard, that's too many. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter if you have 1,000 a month. You have one plane a month going down, and it's like, that's not okay. So what you got to look at is you have to look at what the industry is.
Why is that plane going down?
Exactly. It's like if I got a bag of jelly beans and I lose one a month, that's not that big of a deal. Yeah. But if it's an airplane we're talking about going down as one a month, that's that's something different. So when you have an organization, like when you have the police force, you kind of have to look at it that same way. It's like, look, okay, yeah, majority of the police might be good. But if we got unarmed killings, happening multiple times, and not only that, they're not being charged. You know what I mean? Like nothing's happening. It's like we got to look at that differently. Like
you and I were saying, you're talking about unarmed killings on all colors. Everybody.
Yeah. It's something needs to change, and it's just what I don't understand is why it's like now it does happen to more than just blacks. We know that. But it's one of the things is I'm like, okay, so then why is everyone so upset when blacks are the ones standing up against it? How come nobody else did? I'm like, this should be something that we all come together and stand up against. And so so that's why I say we sometimes have to take our, maybe you don't like the hashtag. You know what I mean? Maybe you don't like the way it's always being done, but we need to look at the reason why. And there is a serious problem in how a lot of this, and how certain police officers are handling situations. And it's like, so again, it's not that we want to sit there and, completely condemn all of them, but something needs to happen within an organization. I will say this, because I gave you the gang analogy also. I had a cousin who was gang affiliated. Now, gangs are wrong, period. But that was probably one of the nicest people I've ever known in my entire life. So how wrong of me would I be? Like, well, he's nice, you know what I mean? He's and everything like that, because he was a good dude. Exactly. So the thing is, though, you have a situation when it comes to police force and when it comes to gangs. There's two rules there that make it hard for either one. And a lot of times people wonder why we don't necessarily do things like, well, why don't blacks do more in their community with all the gangs and stuff? First of all, we can't. Because a lot of times, if we try to speak out, if no one has our backs, we risk our lives. There have been times where if you speak out against any of the gang violence in your own community, you have a target on your back now. And it's not a secret that, unfortunately, in a lot of these lower poverty areas, you call the cops, you don't get a response right away sometimes. So it's like, but the gangs, they all know you. Yeah. So if you speak out on something that honestly you should be able to speak out against, then you might be dead next week. Yeah. Well, it's the same thing on the flip side. It's not a secret that on the police force, that if you speak out, if one cop speaks out against another cop, there's a lot of things that cop is now going to have to face, because it is highly it's looked down upon if they find out you're speaking out against the police force. The police force is treated just as basically has almost the same set of rules that the gangs do. So what I don't understand, like, why people aren't looking at, they're like, well, what about the problems the black community faces? All right, well, if we stand up in the black community, we face getting killed. If police stand up in the police force, then they honestly, even if more police know, like, yeah, you're kind of right, but bro, you can't say that here. You know what I mean? So it's like, why can't we look at those issues? And I'm like, because if anything, those are the same problems. So we need to be looking at what's right. What's right is right, and what's wrong is wrong. Period. Stop putting color on it. Stop putting sides on it. Stop looking at, you know what I mean? Stop looking at just economic status and all. Like, what's right is right. What's wrong is wrong. Period. That's what we need to look at. But unfortunately, and that's why I said in the beginning, why don't we talk about the youth enough and everything? Is because people are selfish. Everyone wants to get offended and then pick sides. And it keeps people from really looking at what is the actual problem here. Yep. You know what I mean? If I learned this lesson just from being married. If my wife comes at me and she's yelling at me and all this other stuff and she's pissed off and she might not be making any sense, I used to argue back. But my dad actually said, listen to how she feels. Listen at what she's saying. And the minute I started doing that, even though some of the stuff she was saying, I'm like, it just seemed like nonsense, I actually finally was able to fix the issues because I realized, like, you just might not know how to say it, but you are really voicing a real concern. I obviously am doing something to make you feel this way. And, dude, our marriage has completely changed.
That's a fucking amazing analogy.
Dude.
And I could probably use to do that better myself. Because honestly, yeah, that was on point, honestly.
Yeah. But in relationships, why don't we do it? Because a lot of times we're selfish.
Yeah.
You know, so, but anyway, but back to, like you were saying, you know, like, all this comes to, and this is why I say, focusing on the next generation coming up, because it's not like I've given up on our generation. It's just that I'm like, you know what? I feel we got enough people worrying about this generation right now. You know what I mean? And it just, and like you said, you haven't been able to do a podcast because you haven't felt like it. That's kind of one of my reasons for, you know, like, you know what? I just need to change my focus. I need to figure out how to help in a different way. And I can't help it but to be around kids and actually feel like just uplifted. You know what I mean? Like, I love seeing the way they work, the way their mind works. You know, the fact that they're so, like, you can influence them.
They're very impressionable.
Exactly.
And they're very innocent too. A lot of times, yeah.
And right now they're being left out. And so for me to be able to come in and start offering something as, you know, as simple but impactful as a professional art set to teach kids how to customize. They don't care about, like, race, like, and all this stuff right now. They're like, dude, one kid told me, and, like, I mean, I'll be honest, I've grown soft since I've gotten grayer. And, like, he wrote me a letter, dude, and I started tearing up because he's like, dude, nobody does this anymore. Nobody does this for us anymore.
Yeah.
And I realized that, dude, we do not focus on the kids coming up anymore. We send them to school where they're getting tested out the ass. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, and it's just like, and then we don't worry about them. We send our kids off and they're like, oh, they're at school. And it's like, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, don't even get me started on school. We all know how I did with school. And I think, honestly, schools need to be more tailored to finding out what a kid's strengths are, finding out what a kid's interests are, and growing and nurturing that. Not, here's all these fucking set, crazy, you know, classes, math and shit that I don't even use and I can't even use still, that hasn't even helped me to this day.
Yep.
You know, I think if there was more schools that are more tailored like that, there would be more entrepreneurs, there'd be more business owners, and there'd be more people that, you know, make more opportunities for themselves. Because there is opportunity in this country. You know, you got to, like you said, it starts from a childhood age. You got to nurture it. You got to nurture that mindset, and then you got to work for it. Yeah. I mean.
Now, let me ask you this. I don't know. Do you know about Grant High School?
Not much about it. I mean, I know where it's at. I mean, what do you mean you know about it?
Have you ever, like, you know the reputation, anything about, like, all right, so you know it's in Del Paso Heights. Yeah. You know about Del Paso Heights, right? All right. So let me ask you a question, because obviously, you know, like, because now, like, I mean, you know, obviously you've built quite a decent life for yourself. You know what I'm saying? Would you rather your kids go to school out in your area, or would you rather them go to school in Grant?
Definitely my area.
And this is the other reason why I focus on kids. It's harder for people to argue against and be against children because they're kids. You know what I mean? It's harder to see the mistakes and everything that are in children because they're kids. So I was like, if I can start using kids as the example and focus on that, then I think a lot of the issues that we face day to day, a lot of people will be able to kind of put to the side because they're like, well, I mean, that's a kid. You know what I mean? Yeah. So what I look at is you have schools that are in these areas. Yeah. My kids, I'm fortunate enough. My kids go to school in Folsom.
Okay.
I'm telling you right now, dude. I lucked out.
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm able to send
Yeah.
them there. But I've seen the things that they offer at this school. I'm like, dude, that is insane. You know, I've never even had a job that offered some of this stuff.
Wow.
You know, and so they have all these opportunities. But the schools in my area, dude, they don't offer none of this stuff. And you wonder why. It's because these schools don't have the resources.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why I say, if you really want to find out how, you know, whether things are completely equal across the board, look at schools. Look at what schools and what's being offered, and it's clear as day. And that's why I say it's hard to see it when it's adults and adults, because we're gonna sit there and go back and forth. But when you pay attention to, just ask yourself, would you allow your kids to go to this school? And you're like, well, I wouldn't want them to.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, there's a lot of folks who have no choice.
No choice. Yeah.
So, but what we can do now is how can we start implementing? You know, how can we start pouring into these schools that need help? You know what I mean? So that's why I figured, I was like, what can I create that, regardless of whatever you believe in, your background is, what can I create that will still push forward this agenda and helping people that need the help without anybody worrying about, you know, well, you know, what is, you know, is this a black movement? Is this, you know, I was like, forget all that.
Yeah.
So I was like, if I start pouring into these children, everybody can get behind that. You know what I mean? And I'm like, so that was my goal, and one of the reasons
What's the idea?
Is just I'm starting off with art supplies, because what I'm hoping to happen is that more and more people will start to catch on, you know, because like right now I can't do this by myself. So I was like, you know what, I can start off with art supplies. So let me start doing these art supplies giveaways, and then hopefully I can start, you know, hopefully one of these days one of these companies will sponsor me. And then if I can get more and more people, especially artists, to start, you know, backing me up on these things, now I have like a committee of people. So then ultimately now it's like, all right, so I got the art supplies now. Hey, you know, what about if I grab some of these business owners I know? Like, what if we go start talking to these schools, offering them, you know, exactly, offering them other opportunities. You know, schools have auto shop. Well, my boy is screen prints. I'm like, bro, what if we had a screen printing class? You know what I mean? Like, what if we can find a way to link up with the school and offer, like, for these kids to screen print when they get out? Not every kid wants to be an athlete or work on cars.
Yeah, there's not much options there. It's
exactly.
Like, wood shop.
Yep.
Auto shop. I mean, I remember I went through them all and I hated all that shit.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly.
Yep. So I was like, so I think I really want to get people to open their minds and think, what do I have to offer this next generation coming up? Go, like, take time out of your day and try to find the problems that you can be a solution to. And I think that's something that a lot of us don't do enough of. And, you know, like, and I honestly, and that's why, like, even now, that's why I say money for me, it was every time I chased money, there was always something missing. And I recognize it's because I wasn't serving enough. I love serving others. And the minute I made that my goal, my mission, it's like my whole world opened up, you know. And now the only stressful thing is I'm like, I need help. Help.
For sure, yeah.
You know, so it's like, but I wanna figure out, like, how can I serve this next generation coming up? And then how can I inspire others to do the same thing? Because I'm telling you right now, we all have something we can offer.
Hell yeah, we do.
So we have in Oak Park. So anybody that's local to Sacramento that might be watching this, Oak Park, there is a organization called Youth Explosion. I was actually volunteering at. I took a break for a little bit. But they feed the community there, and they also offer job services. They help talk to people about how to start businesses. And these are people who have nothing. You know what I mean? They help people expunge criminal records. You know what I mean? They if like any legal services, they help people find homes who didn't think that they can actually own a home.
Yeah.
You know, it's like they walk you through these things. Unfortunately, not a lot of people know about Youth Explosion. So it's like they're kind of hurting in a way, only because they just don't have the exposure. But they're there every first, second, and third Saturday, serving the community.
That's awesome.
So I was like, so what I want to see is I want to see more people with a bigger platform, a larger voice, with more resources. Let's get out here and start helping these people, these organizations like Youth Explosion that are hands-on. It's easy to cut a check, but it's like, where's that money going to? You know, it's like, I cut a check to an organization. It's like, that's great if that's all you can do.
Yeah.
But now find out, what can I do that's hands-on? How can I affect somebody, like, you know what I mean, an individual? And that's what I wanted to make my mission about, is like, I want to figure out how can I, like, you know, I have 5 kids at a time where I'm teaching them how to paint, talking to them about owning a business, you know, sending them out into the world where they help another 5 kids, you know, and then I bring in another 5. How can I bring in other artists to do the same thing? How can I bring in entrepreneurs to, do the same thing?
Yeah.
So that's pretty much it.
That's amazing, man. That's the right kind of mindset to have, and that's honestly what not enough people have, and that's why I wanted you to, and you, honestly, I'm glad I wanted to have you on the show before. Honestly, I know we talked about it in the past just because we wanted to talk about our history and how you've come up and how you started your business, and I usually have entrepreneurs on here, and you are an entrepreneur, but I know we wanted to talk about coming together and being an example during this time of what's going on and being a positive force in a world that's not so positive right now at this moment, honestly. And I just and you honestly I've been putting it off for a couple weeks. You've been pushing me. You stay consistent. I haven't been in the mood, honestly. Keeping it real. I always keep my shit real. Scotty and Kyle, they're over here like, when the fuck are we going to do a podcast? I'm just like, dude, I don't feel like talking right now, honestly. I know I have a voice, and I'm just true to my emotions. You guys know I don't
it's different times right now,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And I just don't want to get up here and say some fake shit.
No, I'm glad Dre came in and said all that, though. Like, super inspiring. It's one thing nobody really has a focus on. And I was like, kids, like, what's going on with the youth right now? And it's like, they're going to be in our shoes in 5, 10, 15, 20 years,
Yep.
And I feel like just what he said, and everyone is selfish. And the thing is, if people were focusing on kids 20 years ago or 30 years ago or 40 years ago, how would the times look right now?
Yep.
Yeah,
and
for
that's
sure.
Profound. And like I said, I love the hell out of you, and I respect the hell out of you. And I think you have something special going on, and you really need to keep following it and keep pushing it, because you're very well spoken, you're very articulate, and I support you, and I always have. But like I said, it's just I'm here to support the cause and support what you're doing because I believe in it, and I wouldn't say that. I would tell you if I didn't, that, but I'm just saying, I think, and you told me, you wanted me to be a part of it eventually and, show kids. I mean, what I built was from nothing, I had no one help me with anything, I look white, but I'm Middle Eastern, and I've dealt with my own issues growing up and stuff like that, but I'm saying it's possible for everyone to become successful, and it may be harder than certain people than others, but if you bust your ass long enough, you can be successful.
Yeah,
we're both proof of it, right?
Yep.
So, man, anything else you want to say?
Nah, man, I think that's it, man. Just pretty much just remember that each and every one of us, and I believe this wholeheartedly, we all have a purpose that goes beyond ourselves. And if you take a look at your life and the only person that's benefiting from it is you, then you need to take a closer look at, like, is this it? You know what I mean? Like, is this it? I mean, because at the end of the day, man, we all have the same fate. You know what I'm saying? All of us are going to end up in the ground one day. And 100%. It's going to be like, and I always found it pointless. I'm like, why am I going to get all these riches and everything if it's not going to go anywhere? Like, I want to leave a bigger impact. And, and we all have that. So, and once you realize that, you'll spend less time bickering back and forth online. I guarantee it. So
100%, because there's nothing positive coming out of that.
Nothing
going. It's just, and like you said, and we didn't touch base on it in the podcast, a lot of these people on both sides are posting shit on social media with no facts or no data to back it up. None. They don't do any research.
Look, please read the article that you post, please.
Like, yeah, you said, I've seen it, you've seen it, where people post something and they literally say a caption and they contradict something in what they post. It's like, have you even read what you posted? Yeah. And it happens all over, and it happens all the time, not just during these times. We talk about it when we see people post shit all the time on social media.
Yep.
Motherfuckers can't even read what they post.
I'm okay with someone posting wrong information as long as they're at least doing something. You know what I'm saying? The problem I always see, and that's why I say, if you spending all your time posting, but you ain't doing shit else, then what's the point?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what is the point if you're not trying to change anything?
You just talk, no action.
Exactly.
It's a bunch of talk and no action. Nothing's gonna happen without action. So, you guys, please listen to this podcast. I hope you're motivated by it. I hope you're inspired by it. I hope it changes you, maybe your thought process and outlook a little bit, because honestly, with a lot of shit I see out there right now, it's dividing us more. There's division happening, and we honestly need to come together. It's okay if you have a different opinion than the person next to you. You don't have to hate them. You don't have to be against them. You can respect them. Hell, you can even be your friend. It could be your family member. I know plenty of friends and family members that have different opinions, and that's okay. Stay true to who you are and stay true to your opinion. But here's the thing, guys. I really enjoyed this podcast. I think it's an important message, and you know that we don't do any advertising on this podcast. We really try to spread it to as many people as possible. So all we ask is that you leave us reviews, you share the podcast, you post it so more people see it. I really hope you guys get something from this. Dre, Mammoth, really appreciate you,
Hey, man, thank you, man. I'm definitely glad to be here.
I appreciate you, man. You killed it. I'm excited for the future, man.
Me too.
We out.
Let's go.